Hello and what is up guys, and welcome back to another video from Screencasters. And today I'm going to be doing a deck profile of my Yang Zings to the channel. Now this is a very fun deck that I have been trying out a lot lately, and of course, as with all my deck profiles, click the description box and you can see a long list of possible tech cards that you can try out for yourselves in the deck I'm profiling at the time. So for this video, it'll be for Yang Zings, so you guys can see a bunch of tech cards for Yang Zings there. So yeah, don't forget to drop some likes for the video. I greatly appreciate it, and yeah, without further ado, let's get started with the deck profile. So first things first, we're doing the obligatory 3 Zefra Nui. You need 3 of them because he's arguably your biggest source of levels for Synchro action. He's the one that if he's destroyed by battle or card effect while in the monster zone, or if he's pendulum summoned, both these work, but only once per turn, he searches one of your Zefra or Yang Zing spells or traps from your deck to your hand. Now, if you are playing Zefra Divine Strike, you can fit that in here as well. However, this is basically your searcher for 9 Pillars, which is your new counter trap that has came out in Invasion of Venom. But it's pretty self-explanatory. You need them as a level 6 to help synchro with your Yugioh, which we play 3 of as well. Yugioh is probably your best card in the deck. He's what basically leads to your bigger boards. You want to open with them, or you want to open up with the METALFOES and the Yang Zing, so you can pop it to go into Yugioh. It's pretty good. He's basically leads to most of your combos, and arguably the best first turn you could do in the deck is opening somehow with a Yugioh on board. And last of the Yang Zing tuners, we got 3 Chaiwen, your level 1 tuner. He's basically the one you're going to be dumping with your Dinglong for its effect most of the time, because if you're going to pop Dinglong, one thing you want to do is send your Chaiwen to the graveyard so it'll be alive. So if any of your Yang Zings get popped, you know, he gets a special summon himself in the graveyard. So that's pretty good. One thing I do want to mention is I kind of want to find room for instant fusions, because if you go into instant fusion, go into your Norden, you can bring back your Chaiwen that's in the graveyard and get a free Danglong from there. You can also bring back your Speedroid Red-Eye Dice to do the same thing, but the extra deck space is pretty tight for Norden, and of course the main deck slots are pretty tight as well. Then we're doing 3 Suwani. Suwani's pretty great. He's the beater of the deck, the main deck beater of course. When he's used as Synchro material, the monster gains 500, which is pretty great. So that's something. It makes your Trish go into 3200 as a beater. That's nice. It makes your Stardust Charge Warrior 25 beater. It's okay. But basically, he's one of the ones you want to open with. You play a lot of Yang Zings because you want to open with basically 3 Yang Zings and a METALFOES, and you'll be set, because you have the METALFOES in the scale. Normal summon your Yang Zing, pop it, and get a search, go into Yugioh, set combination, and then discard those 2 extra Yang Zings to go into your Synchro plays. That's basically the reason you play a lot of Yang Zings in this deck. That's also why we're running 3 Beyond. Doing 3 Beyond because Beyond's pretty great. Him and your Yugioh also go into Danglong, which is a very powerful play, and he makes your Herald cannot be destroyed by battle, so that's pretty good. We're doing 2 Big C, basically another name, and 1 Pulao as another name. You do 2 Big C over 2 Pulao, because Big C has some more synchro shenanigans, but honestly, you never really synchro with your Pulao. He's honestly there just to be discarded, or as another name to be popped with your METALFOES, because when you pop your Yang Zings, you have to keep track of which ones you popped, because they do float, but their floating effects are once per turn. So one thing you always want to keep a mental note of is which Yang Zings you destroyed that turn specifically. So that's very important. So that's it for the Yang Zings of the deck. I'm also playing 3 Terratop and 1 Red-Eye Dice. This is basically your free Danglong if you don't open up with any Yang Zings. And most of the time you do open up with a Yang Zing and a METALFOES, which is very good. However, if you don't have that set up, you can honestly go into your Terratop, special summon if you have no monsters, normal summon Dice, make Terratop level 4, and then you could sink into your Danglong, so that's something. And then you can pop that Danglong with your METALFOES to go into Yugioh, and there's your free play. So this gives you another way to get into your Yugioh play without clogging up your deck with like extra Big C's or extra Pulaos or Pot of Desires or something like that. I try to keep this deck as budget friendly as possible. As for the METALFOES, I do it a little bit differently. I do 2 of each of the vanilla METALFOES. Basically, it gives you 4 low scales and 4 high scales, and a good variety for level modulating, as in this guy's level 2, she's a level 3, level 4, and level 7. It gives you some nice room to synchro it up with, which is pretty nice. But yeah, the idea of the deck is to open up with the Yang Zing and a METALFOES at all times. So that's it for the main deck monsters. On for the spells. We're just doing 3, which is a 2 path and 1 METALFOES fusion. You need the fusion so you can always have something to search with your METALFOES, which is something. However, path, I like path. It is an extra discard target for a Jiatu. However, you don't really want to open with. If you don't open up a Jiatu play, opening up with path or even extra path is really bad. So I only play 2 because you can search it if you need it. However, you play definitely enough Yang Zing, so you don't need it as discard fodder. I'd rather play more of the monsters than this because this is way easier to search than the monsters themselves. And this is basically a key combo play because it is your Pot of Avarice, so you only really need 1 Danglong because you can just keep recycling it back with your path. You only really need 2 Boxias because you can cycle it back with path. The fact that this card exists really helps your extra deck, so you have more room for other things to play. As for the traps, we're doing 3 9 pillars. This card is amazing. It's the new counter trap that just came out in Invasion of Vengeance. It's super good. If you guys don't know what this card does, when your opponent activates a spell or trap or a monster effect, negate, destroy it, shuffle it into the deck, and destroy 1 Yang Zing card on the field. This card is pretty versatile because even if they're in your scales, you can pop it and shuffle it, the monster into the deck, so that's something. But most of the time, it's just nice to have, and if you have Danglong, you can just pop Danglong. Danglong will float into another Yang Zing, so if you have multiples, you just need 1 Danglong, you can get it all going. So it's just a really good card. I highly recommend it at 3 for any Yang Zing player. And of course, it is discardable by Jiatu. We're just doing 2 combination and 1 counter for your METALFOES search targets. I mean, these are basically all the targets you run for the METALFOES, but I think with the fusion, that's all you really need. However, with combination, you kind of need it because for your Boxia plays, you need at least 2 in your deck. You don't have to have them in your deck, you can just have them in your hand and that won't really hurt you, so drawing into them isn't really bad. However, you always need at least 2 for your Boxia plays because the idea is if you have a METALFOES in scale, you use Boxia to pop this because Boxia can pop any card, and then this will search whatever missing scale you have. So let's say you have a high scale and Boxia pops this to reborn a monster from your graveyard, you then just search your low scale, so vice versa too. And counter is just something you can do if you have kind of a bad hand. You can set this, and if your Yang Zings blow up, you can special summon like whatever scale you're missing from the deck and then banishes from the graveyard to get that scale back on your turn, and yeah, pendulum summon and stuff, so it's pretty good. And last, the main deck, we got 1 Solemn Warning because it's pretty much the best card in Yu-Gi-Oh right now. So that's it for the main deck. On for the extra deck, we're playing 1 XYZ. It's the only XYZ you really need besides like Lancelot, but 1 number 38. You make it with your 2 Boxias or with an Oracle if you have to, and it just helps make your boards better and clears up your board if you have too many monsters, so that's really good. We got 1 Oracle and 1 Adamante for your fusion targets. You don't really need more. I mean, more fusions have came out, which is Mithrilium and the Alcahest, but upon testing and play testing with them on YGO Pro and stuff, I never once went into them, so since the extra deck space is pretty tight, I kind of went with the standard 2. I mean, you can use Adamante fuse with the Yang Zing because most of them have pretty low attack, and you can just shuffle that fusion back into your deck and draw free cards, so that's something. That's it for the fusions. For the Synchros, I got 1 Trish because you can make it. Chai-1 is an amazing card. Synchroing up with your Suwani or your Gold Driver, it's a really good card, and with Suwani it gets really beefy, so banishing 3 cards is always going to be good. I got 1 Ignister because you can make it. You have a bunch of pendulums, why not, in Synchros. 1 Crystal Wing because you can make it. One thing I want to point out is I don't run Ultimaya in this deck. I was trying it, however, it was never really a good play. I mean, yes, Danglong is a tuner, it's a Synchro tuner, but you don't really get another monster on field that's level 5. I mean, yes, you can modulate it, but just not something you really want to do, basically, because it was always a bad play. There's always a better play I could have done at the time, but if you guys want to put Ultimaya, go for it. As for me, it just never really worked for me. I just don't like Ultimaya in this deck. In a dedicated build for Ultimaya, I would play it, but in this build of Yang Zings with the METALFOES, I wouldn't recommend it, so that's something. We got the 1 Scarlight because popping fields, burning for damage is very good, and 2 Boxia, which is your playmaker. You do not need 3. I mean, yes, you can argue if you had the room play 3, However, you can just cycle it back with Path, so you definitely don't need 3. For the 7s, we got 1 Yahtzee and 1 Clearwing. Clearwing protects all your bigger monsters, so it's a good thing you can do. And Yahtzee, you only really need 1 once again because you can cycle it back with Path. But it's basically your theme Scrap Dragon, and it floats if you pop itself, so that's pretty good. We got the Stardust Charge Warrior and the Coral Dragon. Basically, some cool things you can do with this. You can draw a card and then discard a card and blow up something. And if it leaves the field, it draws a card, so that's something. But these are basically your stepping stones to get into bigger monsters. 1 Danglong, because you only need 1, and since you can only special summon 1 Danglong per turn, it's kind of like Infinity. It's really good, and you go into it a lot. However, I never really needed 2, if that makes sense. I always cycled it back and then summoned it back again, because you can't summon 2 in the same turn, so there's no real point, so that's something. And as for last, the extra deck, we got 1 Herald of Arc-Light, because it's a really good card, and a free negate that can't be destroyed by battle is really damn good. So yeah, that is my November 2016 update for my METALFOES Yang Zings. This is a really fun deck, and I highly recommend it for anybody who wants to play a very fun deck this format. It's really explosive, and you can have a lot of fun playing it, like at locals, or even competitively if you feel the need for it. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this deck profile. If you guys got any comments or suggestions on how to make this deck better, I'd love to hear it in the comment section down below. And as with all my deck profiles, check the description box down below and you can see a long list of possible tech cards you can try out for yourselves in the deck I'm profiling at the time. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like the video, comment the video, and subscribe to my channel, which is Screencasters, for more epic and amazing videos similar to this one. Once again, my name is Yugioh from Screencasters, and I am signing out.